So this is a 1937 Austin 7 Special. This year it's being entered into the Beamish Safety and Reliability Trial, which is a 133-mile route through Weardale, Teesdale, the Yorkshire Dales and Cumbria. Starts and finishes at Beamish Open Air Museum. And it goes over some very gruelling roads with hairpin bends and some very, very steep ascents and descents. Quite honestly, there's some very scary bits. So this car started its life as an Austin 7 Ruby, which I purchased back in 2019. And it was in a pretty poor state. The body was rotten and the woodwork had turned to dust. But it didn't really bother me because I intended to build a special. Now the car that I really wanted was a 1924 Bugatti, but I didn't have £2.5 million to spend on something like that. So I needed something about £1,000 cheaper, sorry, 1,000 times cheaper, and that was this. And when I got it, it was pretty knackered. When I took the body off, basically I had the sort of sorry bare bones of the vehicle. But in 2020, I started work in earnest. So you can see here, this is an original Austin 7 engine. It has been significantly modified. Both it has a high lift camshaft, high compression pistons, and you can see that there is a 4-to-1 exhaust system that I've made to go on there. And it's got a rather ancient downdraft SU carburetor, quite a rare thing, but this was the type of carburetor that was recommended by Mr Williams for sports Austin 7s. The other sort of major things that have happened to this car is that originally the brakes were cable brakes, which were notorious for being particularly poor. So a lot of work was done to modify the brakes to convert them to hydraulic brakes. So we've now got twin leading shoe hydraulics on the front and also single leading shoe hydraulic brakes on the rear. Also the suspension was lowered somewhat, again on the advice of Mr Williams, and we've changed the damping system from friction damping to hydraulic damping. So the new body on the car is very narrow, so it's only just enough room for 2 people, and for that reason the handbrake lever was moved from the inside to the outside, which makes a lot more room inside. And also I modified the gear change linkage. It took me 3 years thinking about this to work out how I was going to do it, but we've now got the gear change on the outside, and there's a rather sophisticated interlock so that you can't accidentally get reverse gear when you're going along. The actual screens themselves are quite low, so you can see if I get in, that when you're sitting in the car, and you have to get in from this side because you can't possibly get in from the driver's side, and you can see that there's no screen in front of you. In fact, the law says that if the screen is at your eye level, you've got to have a windscreen wiper, so I definitely don't need any. Okay, this bodywork was completely started from scratch. All of these panels were formed from just flat sheets of aluminium, and this was a skill that I didn't have, and I had to sort of learn on the job with this. So you can imagine I did generate a fair bit of aluminium scrap in the process. Not so much for the front end, but certainly for the boat tail at the rear. I think the boat tail at the rear is about my 5th attempt to get something that I was reasonably happy with. It still could be better, but there you go. I'm going to keep it just sort of a matte finish, basically just using Scotch pads just to take the shine off. If I put the shine on, you'd see all the imperfections, but I'm quite happy with the way that it went. There is underneath this a wooden frame that the body is then attached to. The wooden frame was made of marine ply and ash in the sort of traditional way with the ash. But I was fairly pleased with it, but that was really the biggest and hardest job of the whole thing. The The front grille was also made from flat sheets of brass, and you can note that it's sort of horseshoe shaped, and that's because Bugattis have a horseshoe shaped radiator. So I wanted to get something that looked something like that anyway. So the Bugatti Type 35 had a boat tail. It didn't have these sort of wings sticking out here, but I didn't have any choice because underneath there, running across the car, is the fuel tank. So I needed something to cover that fuel tank up. But I think the effect is not too bad anyway. The exhaust is much bigger than the original Austin 7 exhaust, which was more like a little pea shooter. This is 2-inch stainless steel exhaust, which does sound rather nice. Once I'd finished the car and I really wanted something more to do, I decided I would make a boat, a fishtail that goes on the outside, on the end of the exhaust, which was sort of very common on pre-war cars.